We'll now call the meeting to order, and the time is 5 o'clock. We'll now proceed with item number 2, approval of the agenda. That the agenda for the Committee of Adjustment meeting of Wednesday, May 15th, 2024 be approved as presented. Do I have a mover and a seconder to adopt the agenda as presented? Daniel Lewis. All in favor? Motion carried. Are there any declarations of interest? None? Okay. Item 4.1 is a motion to approve the minutes of the previous meeting held on March 25th, 2024. The recommendation reads that the Committee of Adjustment minutes dated March 25th, 2024 be accepted as presented. Do I have a mover and a seconder for this motion? Thank you. And is there any discussion on the minutes? Nope. Okay. Then I'll call the question. All in favor? Motion is carried. Item 5.1 is a recommendation that the Committee of Adjustment approve the following severance. The recommendation reads that the Committee of Adjustment approve the proposed consent application, severance 2024-002, subject to the following conditions. That the balance of any outstanding taxes, including penalties and interest, and any local improvement charges, if applicable, shall be paid to the town. That the plan, when submitted, shall show that the existing structure meets the required side yard setbacks as per the zoning bylaw 2009-09. And that the developer service each lot independently, including the costs involved, including installing a driveway and town services to the property line. An acceptable reference plan or legal description of the severed lands and the deed or instrument conveying the severed lands demonstrating the new property lines for both properties shall be registered and submitted to the town. And that the owner developer will be responsible for ensuring that both the retained and severed lot meet the requirements of the R1 section 5.4 as per zoning bylaw 2009-09 in regard to allowed uses. Do I have a mover and a seconder for discussion purposes? Lewis? Okay. Sean Merriman, Manager of Building and Bylaw, will speak to the report. Mr. Merriman.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yeah, so this property is on Railroad Avenue, and this property is in an established neighborhood that was constructed basically in the 1960s through the 1980s. It's basically just south of the tracks here going through town. The original owner had a property that consisted of 3 lots in total, of which the 1 lot off to the far west side is continued, like it was already severed, stayed severed, and he's selling it. And then he had basically the lot that's on the corner consisted of 2 lots in the original plan for the town. So each lot is 100 by 50, but they were merged together. This property is of adequate size and frontage to allow the lot to be split and create 2 lots, with each lot capable of supporting a full-size single-family dwelling or other structures as per the zoning bylaw. The consent, if approved, will create at minimum, an additional dwelling within the town and create additional infill development. This new lot will be at minimum 13 meters wide and 31 meters deep, feet long, which is more than the minimum required. This section of land has been proposed by a sketch diagram showing the current and suggested new lot lines. This application was submitted on March 28, 2024. The mailing list for the 60-meter buffer was created and mailed out. And when I wrote the report, and as of today, I had no concerns expressed to me, either asking for more information or additional details. The property was also posted as required within the more than 10 days, and I did drive by today to confirm that it was still posted and it remained posted. Basically, because the two lots were merged, there's some question, like a survey hasn't been done until the severance is granted, like conditionally. So one of the reasons why the one condition is just to confirm that the house is where we think it is, that it'll meet the minimum required setbacks and stuff like that. If something happens that there's not like exactly at the 50-foot line, there is enough room that it'll be at least 43 feet. Like there should be no problem hitting the setbacks required. And the last condition that was in it is basically to acknowledge that the shed that's already on the lot, once it's a severed lot, it's not an allowed building as it is. So whoever buys the lot will either have to build a house in front so that it becomes accessory again. They could actually turn it into a house if they want to spend all the money that'd be required to do it. But that's basically the thing. It's just a condition to state that they acknowledge the building doesn't have any principal use until there's something in front of it that would. When you consider all the stuff that comes through this with the provincial policy statement and everything, this is a prime example of exactly what should be done. Severing an oversized lot down to a size to create development. Services for water and sewer are already running down the street. And so therefore staff is recommending that the severance be granted based on the conditions. I do see the gentleman, the proponent here today, should you have any questions that you may wish to ask.
Okay.
And that's all, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Is there any discussion on item 5.1? Any questions? Yes, you may. You have a question.
I just want to say that it's not a shed, it's actually a garage. It's like it's a really good garage. I don't know if that makes any difference or not. You call it a shed, I think, oh, that's a shack where you put your log, but it's not, it's a really good garage.
Sure.
Good to know. All right. Any other questions? Discussion? None? Okay. I'll now call the question. All in favor? Motion is carried. Thank you. And item 5.2 is a minor variance application for consent application for 100-120 King Street East. And I have a recommendation that reads that the Committee of Adjustment approve the minor variance MV 2024-005 for the properties 100-120 King Street East with the following conditions. The balance, if any of any outstanding taxes, including penalties and interest, shall be paid to the town of Prescott. That the parking spots for the rental units be clearly marked and identifiable. That all permits and fees from the resulting renovations be paid for prior to work commencing. Do I have a mover and a seconder for discussion purposes? Greg? Thank you. And Sean Merriman, Manager of Building and Bylaw, will speak to the report. Mr. Merriman.
Through you, Madam Chair. So the subject properties are the northeast corner at the intersection of Edward and King Street. In fact, I'm sure just about everyone here on the committee probably knows that it's Bobby's Restaurant, which it has been for a few years now. And this property has long been a long-time commercial and residential site, and it's hosted numerous businesses on the main level, as it is at a fairly important intersection in Prescott. Being right basically at the main intersection of the two major roads. This stone building was built in the 1800s, and like I said, you name it, it's been in there from hotel to auto parts shops to candy shops, and currently it's a restaurant and residential apartments. However, I would like to bring to the committee's note that this property is not a heritage property, so that is one of the reasons why it's just brought here and not to heritage. This property was recently purchased by the new owner. In fact, I see Mr. Mold on Zoom, and we also have his planner from Seaway Design here this evening, should you have any questions. And one of the things that had happened with it previously by the previous owner, he was having no luck renting out the commercial unit, and with the vacant building bylaw that's basically in town, his simplest solution to avoid issues was to have it join one of the other units. So it didn't really get any bigger, but it still met our vacant building bylaws. The new owner would like to renovate it in such a way that where it used to be known as the candy shop or the sweet spot, whatever it was called, has the ability to be flexible. It can either be a residential unit or it could be a commercial unit, but it'll still be standalone. If it's a residential unit, we're increasing the use. We're going from 7 units to 8 units. The current zoning for commercial core certainly allows this to happen for residential units, but we do still have maximum density program, like the targets that we're intending to hit. And 7 was already over it by a grand total of 1, and this will make it over by a grand total of 2 if it's being used as a residential unit at some point. And it probably will be, you know, at least at the very beginning. So basically, when we look at it, of course, minor variance, is it minor in nature? Yes, it is. We're not changing the footprint really. The building's not getting any larger. It's not getting any smaller, but it is it desirable? And I think it is, because this is actually one of those cases where we're creating a unit that isn't solely one thing or the other. It's both commercial and residential as needed, when needed, how needed. So it may end up being residential for 20 or 30 years, but it could also, if as all these apartments come back to the downtown like we're getting, all of a sudden there's a commercial need, they also have the ability then to use it as a commercial need going forward. Does it keep with the general intent of the purpose of the zoning bylaw? And the answer is I would think so, yes. It's a mixed use in the downtown, you know, basically emphasizing the pluses all the way around it, because there's still going to be the restaurant as the core tenant in the corner unit. So basically, it meets the intent of the official plan. It meets the intent of the zoning bylaw. It is minor in nature, and it is desirable to the community because we're utilizing more of the space that we have already to put it to good use. So therefore, staff's recommendation, I did, again, same thing. This came into the town. We circulated it to all the various departments. We posted the property over the last 10 days. And as of today, I have not received any concerns or requests for information on this property. So staff is recommending that it go ahead with the recommendations and conditions that were submitted to you. And that is all, Madam Chair.
All right, thank you. Okay, where was I? Is there any discussion on item 5.2?
Right.
Daniel?
I just had a point of clarification. It shows that total units proposed is 7, but you said 8.
Yeah, there's 7 already in the building. It will add an 8th one.
So do you mean including commercial? So really there's only,
Well, it creates, so Elliot can help me with this. There is 7 already in the building, correct?
Yes, so currently right now there's 7 residential apartments and 2 commercial units, one of them being the restaurant and one of them being this front candy shop. Now, at some point, not that long ago, because of that vacant unit tax, the commercial unit in the front was essentially opened back up to the back unit, but was never, my understanding was we never actually lost that unit at the time. It just wasn't no longer being used as commercial. To not have to pay the tax.
Okay. So essentially, that back unit, they just bought the wall?
But they just opened the doorway into it.
Oh,
And
okay.
it's a new big build, bedroom.
Oh, gotcha.
So
Gotcha.
we're not changing the overall number of units in the building. We're just sort of reestablishing what was already there and asking for one of them to be permitted as a mixed use. So it could be residential or commercial. The hope is to set it up in a way where it is a small unit, but if somebody wanted to use it as some sort of massage therapy or any type of therapy, there would be a room that would be, you know, like a bedroom, and there would be like a kitchen and a bathroom with a stand-up shower, so it could have multiple uses. And,
So How many apartments? 8 or 7?
So there's always been 7 units in there plus 2 commercials, so 9 in total. When the one commercial sold out or went, moved out, the previous owner simply took the unit that was behind
Right.
and opened it into the front so that it was technically occupied.
Hmm.
So we're simply going back to the fact that there still be 9 units.
Okay.
It's just one of them will be capable of being both commercial or residential, depending on who's leasing it and the need.
Well, it's just that the paperwork shows, I don't see 8 units, I just see 7.
We weren't talking about the commercial at the same time. We were just talking about the number of residential units that were in there. So we're going from 7 to 8 residential.
Mhm. Okay, yes.
Question, Chair. So our official plan and zoning bylaw, do they have any policies in the official plan that speak to residential on the first floor? Or commercial versus commercial, and same with zoning bylaw?
Yeah, so, okay, through you.
So there was an amendment to the zoning bylaw back in 2018 that allowed for core commercial anywhere beyond Edward and I think George Street to be converted to commercial only, or sorry, residential only on the ground floor in the core commercial. So that's certainly where that's coming from. And so it's completely allowed by the zoning bylaw. Where we have a little bit of a kind of confusion is that the core commercial in and of itself does not stipulate density. And so we relied back on the high density R3 to then provide some guidance around the high density dwelling, number of floors, things like that for density. But the zoning bylaw in and of itself doesn't specify the maximum density.
But it allows both commercial and.
Yes, absolutely. Yep.
Thank you. Thank you.
Question. Anyone else? No, my questions have been answered, so thank you. All right, so I'll now call the question. All in favor? Motion is carried. Does anyone have any new business they would like to speak to? No. Okay. Is there any media present? Any media? No. Item number 8 is adjournment. I have a recommendation that the Committee of Adjustment meeting be adjourned. Time is 5:17. Do I have a mover and seconder for this motion? Thank you. All in favor? Motion is carried. Thank you. Thank you.
It's back